Good morning. I'm Anna Marie de la Vega. This is Focus. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we're taking a look at some of the issues that teens and families are dealing with, and we're going to talk to somebody who's getting into the schools and talking with the kids and giving them some information that might help them make better choices. We've got Darla DeLeon. Welcome back to Focus.
Thank you so much for having me, Anna. We so appreciate you.
We're talking with the Chief Executive Officer, the CEO, and co-founder of Steered Straight. Now, if you don't mind, let's just start from scratch and tell people what Steered Straight is.
So Steered Straight is in its 18th year. It is a 501c3 nonprofit, which means to you guys that you can donate, which we are always taking donations, and you get a tax deduction on that. So I know that the end of the year is coming up. So, you know, if you need that, we're here for you.
Oh, we'll help you out. Just give us some money because it takes a lot to do what you guys do. Tell people what is involved with Steered Straight, would you?
So Steered Straight is a three-prong approach to the community. So we do student assemblies in prevention. We go all around the country talking to students in assemblies about drugs and bullying, vaping and fentanyl, social media, THC, and how it affects their bodies and what they can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have intervention. Some of those students need help with addiction treatment. Some of their parents may need that. We have a thrift store in Murfreesboro. People come in there all the time for help with some type of intervention within their family dynamic.
They come into the thrift store to get help.
They do.
Because they know that you're there and you can help them.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then we have our recovery program. So we take people who are in recovery and use those people to go back into our prevention program.
Oh, wow. And you help give them a new purpose.
Yes. They have a purpose. They have a mission. And they usually always want to give back.
Yeah.
And then our newest endeavor is we are opening up a program, an intensive outpatient treatment program in McMinnville, Tennessee, where there's not very many of those, to help those who need counseling, resources, housing, stuff like that, to be able to get that so that they can become successful, productive members of society.
Why in McMinnville?
Well, we moved our home from Murfreesboro to McMinnville.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely, beautiful community there, small town atmosphere. But there are very, very few programs to help people coming out of addiction treatment for that. I'm in recovery. My husband's in recovery. So that is something we've always wanted to do. So it is something that's God has given us an extended mission to do. So
I read that there are a lot of smaller communities where drug use is an especially bad problem. Is it because of the isolation? What have you kind of observed that seems to cause that?
So there's a limited number of resources. Number one, for them to get help if they want it.
Right.
Number two is it isn't a smaller community, so they don't have as many, again, things that they can do to help them not use.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So, for example, an alcoholic who doesn't have a lot of family members around or activities within the community might just stay home
and drink. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And nowhere to turn.
And nowhere to turn.
So what does it mean to be in recovery?
In recovery is a beautiful, wonderful thing. It means that you abstain from drugs and alcohol or a substance that is mind and mood altering for you, that causes you to have cravings, addictive behaviors, that are drug seeking. So,
drug seeking behaviors.
Yep.
What would that be?
So, if you use a drug, we'll use alcohol as an example. If you stop using it, you will go into a withdrawal stage, which means that your body is craving this drug or substance, whatever it might be, and your brain is telling you you have to have that, and you'll do whatever you need to do to get it.
Which could be something illegal.
Absolutely. It could be stealing from your family members, your coworkers, your work itself. It could be any of those things. Selling things to get more money to get your drug of choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when people come to Steered Straight for help, what shape are they kind of typically in, or does it just vary widely?
It varies widely because you have some people who are coming out of incarceration where they have been clean, but maybe might be mandated by a drug court or a court in general that they have counseling sessions 3 times a week, 5 times a week, depending on what they're mandated for.
Yeah.
It also means that some people who are coming out of a drug treatment program still need that continuum of care from residential treatment to outpatient treatment so that they have that continuum of care to help them sustain recovery.
How can they afford it?
Insurance pays it. There's a lot of insurance that pays it. Also, the state has funding that they utilize to pay it for that as well.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
When someone comes out of incarceration and say they're clean then, they come out of incarceration, I've spoken with some law enforcement people before who said that if they come out and they don't have new skills and they don't have a new place to go, they go back to their old neighborhood, they go back to their home and to all of their buddies who are still in that cycle, still in that pattern. And it gives them a very precarious time right then. It's a very dangerous time for them that they might fall back into old patterns.
That's correct. So recidivism is dependent upon Recidivism means that they just recidivate. They go back into the jail or prison program because they don't have enough tools to be prepared when they leave prison or jail to handle life. Yeah. And so they may not have the money. They may not have housing. They may not have food, employment, transportation, all of those things. So they need those connecting resources, which is across the country. A lot of times our peer support specialists may do that. They come alongside someone and they walk with them. They help them maybe do a resume, get their driver's license, get their social security card because they may not have that.
Yeah.
And, everybody needs that for a job.
Yeah.
So resources like what we're offering do that. Mm-hmm. They help them get on stable ground. They help them find housing. They help them find a job. We'll help them, if they need education, we'll help them find some type of educational route, whether that be college or whether it be a trade school or a trade program. There's a lot of programs out there that are, or people who are ready to retire and they want to apprentice someone to take over their business.
Whoa.
And there's not enough people to do that.
No way.
Correct. I have a friend who's a surveyor in Murfreesboro. He wants to retire, but he has nobody to train to take over his job.
Wow.
And a lot of times, if you're apprenticing under someone, you don't have to pay for college. You don't have to pay for these. You just have to pay to take your test, your licensing test.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's a big deal. And we need more and more. We need electricians and plumbers and surveyors and all of these people because not everybody is cut out for college.
Yeah. What about the emotional issues that someone might have after they've been addicted for a long time and taken drugs or alcohol? It seems like sometimes they're not as adult, as mature as they would be if they had been able to remain clear-headed that whole time. So it's kind of like they're back a few years in a way.
So, and my counselor friends out there listening will also reiterate this. So when you start using a substance, a lot of times your brain stops growing and it stays stuck in that age group that you started using in.
Oh.
And so as an example, I have a friend of mine who started using or had a lot of traumatic experiences at 14, lost his father to an overdose in front of him. Mm. And so he kind of lives sometimes in that trauma experience at 14.
Whoa.
Though he is in his 20s now. So to overcome that, you need a lot of counseling. You need to be able to work with a trauma therapist on that subject, that particular time in your life to help you process through that because you've not processed that to be able to, for it not to affect you and to be able to grow from it and move on from it.
To get kind of emotionally older than 14 in a bad place.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
So once you can process those things, they don't hurt you as much. Mm-hmm. And then after time, they don't hurt you as much.
How do you process something like that?
So there's different types of programs that we use. There's EMDR, which is a big program. Brain spotting is another one. So there's different processes that people use in counseling sessions that help people kind of pinpoint to that so that they can get to the root of the issue.
What did you say? Brain what?
Brain spotting.
What is that? Can you give me like a layman's
Sure.
terms thing?
Research studies have shown that with pinpointing an area by using, so if you focus on my finger and you just follow my finger, they can see where your eyes jump, and that is a spot in your brain where they need to do some work.
Whoa.
It is amazing.
I just listened to a TEDx talk on some sort of SPEC imaging, and it was like that. It was showing the brains of people who have sort of emotional or personality type disorders, and that they often can see, well, here's what's going on. There was a trauma right here, and that part of the brain is missing or no action in it whatsoever. And I think it's fascinating. I'm glad that we're starting to get to where we're looking at what's going on in the brain to make this person be more susceptible.
Absolutely. We have a lot of capabilities in brain imaging now. So you can see the brain of someone who uses methamphetamine every day versus someone who does not. And you can see the devastation on the brain of someone who has used meth for 10 years versus a healthy brain that has never used it.
Yeah.
Now you can get that back and can grow back. Different connections in the brain can regrow.
Pathways and things like that.
It's amazing the research that they're doing now for that. So
this doctor that I saw showed pictures of that, and it looked like one brain, like just this whole image, all kind of lit up, and the other just holes everywhere, just like it was just eaten away.
Yeah,
that's horrible. But it's good that at least we're starting to find out that something's going on. He mentioned the fact that of all the doctors, he said for a long time, psychiatrist had been the only doctor who didn't look at what was messed up, who didn't look at what was hurting. It's like the orthopedic will look at your arm, and orthopedist, somebody else will look at whatever they're treating. But I'm a psychiatrist, and I'm not going to look at your brain. I'm just going to give you some medicines or something.
Right.
And so you've got people who are working to address that whole situation.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so excited.
I bet. Has this been a long-term thing? Or
yeah, we my husband and I have been doing this for 18 years as far as like prevention and intervention and everything. This has been our passion that God instilled in us a long time ago to be able to help people help themselves process this stuff.
And so you were determined to get all the right tools.
Yes, and God has, in this season in my life, God has put those tools in place, and the people He's bringing into my circle to help me do that.
If you're just joining us, this is Focus. I'm Anna Marie, and we're talking with Darla DeLeon. She's the Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of the group Steered Straight. It's a nonprofit, and the other things you said you do is, so it's three-pronged: student assemblies, intervention, and recovery programs, and then you've got some more intensive outpatient treatment program that you've started in McMinnville. So let's talk a little more about the student assembly, because you said we talked to them about this, and this. Let's go into some of those topics.
Sure. So vaping has been the scourge of this whole country that's targeted our 11 to 18-year-olds, just like back in the day when our grandparents were targeted to smoke cigarettes. So vaping by far has been the number one thing that our kids have been affected by within their home, within the community, and within their school system. So 100% of the calls that we get right now, vaping. I need help with vaping because kids are vaping in my classroom. They're vaping in the bathroom, even though maybe they have installed smoke detectors or things like that. So, and it's devastating our youth community because they don't understand and they don't get the truth about what vaping does to the body. And so we come in and we talk to them. This is what it is. This is how it works. This is what it does to your lungs and to your brain. Is this something that you really want to do? So we give them informed information so that they can make a better decision about what they put in their body that will affect them lifelong. So vaping has been the number one. And so now you have fentanyl added to the mix. So almost anything can be vaporized and used in a vape, including fentanyl, including THC, including vitamins. Almost anything can be put in a vape and used.
Vitamins? Did you say
vitamins? Yes, ma'am.
Is that a way to get high?
No.
It's
Vitamins, no. So our youth of a generation have been told, oh, it's just flavored water like bubble gum or cotton candy or grape or mango.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't tell you what is inside of there.
Mm-hmm.
So almost all of it comes from China. And so when you order it, you don't know what's in it actually. You don't know where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
You're just putting it in your body. And so inside of a vape is lead. The inside casing of it is lead. And so when you heat anything up to be a vapor or liquid like steam,
Mm-hmm.
it changes the molecular structure of that product. It then becomes a compound that is foreign to what it's supposed to be used for.
Oh.
And so then it changes that molecular structure. When it goes into the body, it's a toxin for the body instead of doing what they originally intended it to be.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't realize that big tobacco had to go before Congress and testify in the 80s that about tobacco,
Mm-hmm.
and that we know now that it causes cancer.
Yeah.
And they 8 different congressmen testified, oh no, it does not cause cancer. We know they lied.
Yeah.
And so cigarette use has gone down. It has. We've done a great job with our PSAs and all those things to make cigarette use go down.
Mm-hmm.
So big tobacco says, oh, wait a minute, our money's going down
Yeah.
because there's not as many cigarettes going up.
Yeah.
So what happened was big marijuana comes in and buys big tobacco. So now they're one company. They're one company. And so, well, we're going to get kids targeted. We're going to target kids to use a vape instead. We'll tell them it's safer. We'll tell them it's just flavored water. They won't care.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't.
And it's working.
It's working.
So
It's
what does
working.
it do? You said to their lungs and to their brain.
So you were talking earlier about having holes
Mm-hmm.
in the lungs, right? So what vaping does is it causes popcorn lung. So what happens is your lungs, when you take a breath, they expand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you exhale, they
Mm-hmm. Deflate.
contract, right?
Mhm.
So if you have holes in your lungs, they cannot expand and contract. So that's
It's
a problem.
It's literally holes in the lung.
Correct. So what happens is in this country, respiratory disease is number 3 in this country for things that kill people.
Oh, wow.
Cancer and something else is number 1 and number 2. Respiratory disorders are going to be number 1 within the next 5 to 8 years because they've targeted our children, and our children have been vaping because they think it's cool and they want to fit in with the other kids in the school, you know, and they don't really care that it hurts the body, or they don't know
They don't
that it hurts.
understand.
They don't understand
Yeah.
what it does to the body. So that is what Steer Straight does. We come in and we give them the truth. We show them in PowerPoint presentation, we show them what it does, how it affects their body, how it can affect their mind, what it can do for them later on in life,
Mm-hmm.
and how not to use. We have resources on our website where they can go if they want to quit vaping. They can go on there and do those steps and stop using. Last week in a middle school, my husband is Michael DeLeon. He is the number 1 expert in the field talking to youth in schools. And he is the number 1 expert on vaping, fentanyl, marijuana, THC in the country. He got 41 vapes and other things turned into him by individual children in that school after an assembly. 41 in a middle school, grades 6 through 8.
Yeah.
I was in a principal's conference last year in Gatlinburg, and I was standing in line for lunch with a lady who was a principal of an elementary school. And she's like, I don't believe, she's like, we were talking, and she's like, before I got here yesterday, I got called down. She said, go down to the gym and observe. Don't let them see you, but just observe what's going on so then you can handle it. So she goes down and she sees this group of kids, and there's kids in a line, and there's a little boy who's at the head of the line, and he's got a vape in his hand. And he's got 4 little pods. Pods are the things that you put in the vape that are flavored, that give you the stuff that you vape, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so one child would pick which one they wanted. He would put it in there, let it heat up, and they would take a hit off the vape. Then they'd go get back in line so they could do a different one.
Oh, my gosh.
Number 1, he did not sanitize the thing where you put your mouth on.
Yeah.
They were all 6 years old. That is first grade for anyone who doesn't know what a 6-year-old is in.
So it's not like, well, we'll tell them about it before they get to be teenagers. It's like we have to do it now.
Right. So elementary school students are most susceptible to their siblings and older classmates.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah, where did they see that behavior?
Of course. How did he know how to use it?
Oh.
He was watching somebody.
Yes.
You know, we as a people don't understand how influential we are to the younger generation, whether they're 5, they're 15, they're 25. We are that role model.
Yeah.
So his role model was vaping. 6 years old. I almost fell out of the floor. I just couldn't believe that happened, you know.
And so what did they do?
She had to sit down with the little boy and talk to him and just asked him, you know, some pertinent questions about where he got it. How did he figure out how to use one? And what does he think it's for, you know?
Yeah.
And so they had to have a conversation with the parents, you know?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the parents who,
Sure.
you know, they're laying their vape around and their little one doesn't, you know, and they just think they've lost their vape and their little one has picked it up, you know, and it could have other things in it besides liquid water.
Yeah.
You know, and so, it's detrimental to our communities here.
I know when I was a kid, my dad drank coffee, so I wanted to drink coffee.
Of course.
I've seen guys drinking beer and the little kid wants to drink beer. So I can see exactly how the little kid wants to do what mom or dad is doing. And if it's something that's harmful,
right,
then that kid is still being influenced in that way.
Correct.
Whew.
Right.
So you said your husband collected 41 items. Like, which would be?
So you have vapes. He got some e-cigarette pens. There's also this stuff called Zen. And he had this little boy who came up and gave him a Zen. So a Zen is a pouch that they, you know, like someone who uses snuff. It's the same kind of premise, but they're in little pouches and they put it in their thing because he said, well, where'd you get this? What's this for? And the little boy says, well, he said, I can't vape in school. And so I got this. So I just put this pouch in my mouth.
Between the cheek and the gum.
The cheek and the gum. And he said, I just put this pouch in my mouth. It's called Zen, Z-E-N. And he said, so I don't have to vape while I'm in, you know, so I don't have cravings or anything like that while I'm in class. And my husband asked him, he said, well, what do you do with the juice? He said, where do you spit the juice out? He said, what do you mean? I don't spit the juice out.
Is it out? Is it
it's
tobacco?
It's a tobacco product.
And he said so he doesn't have cravings. So that means he's addicted already.
Correct. We, my husband and I, made a movie called Marijuana X when we were out in Colorado when Colorado was the first state in the country to legalize marijuana. Now, we do not, as a company, have an opinion about anybody who's over the age of 18. You do what you want with your body. We don't care. But we do care about the effects of what these products have on our children who are 11 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we went to, we were in Vail, Colorado, just kind of looking around. And they have these 5 stores and they called it the Green Mile because there's 5 dispensaries all lined up there together. You go in with your fake ID. Anybody can go in, everybody can get a fake ID. You can go in. And so we went into the very last one. And you would have thought you were in Nordstrom's for a marijuana dispensary, right? And so we go in and we're kind of incognito. We're just kind of feeling things out a little bit. And you go in and do you remember, Anna, when lipstick or like lip gloss comes in the little round container, right?
Yeah.
And so they had all these little round containers in a glass case that you could see. And so these little round containers had like percentages by them. Like one says 79.8%. One of them said 92.3%.
Yeah.
One of them was like 54.6%. And so I asked the guy behind the counter, he was 21 years old, young man. I said, what do these percentages mean? He's like, well, that is the percentage of THC that we think is in the product.
Think is in.
Exactly. And so I'm like, dude, so what's the have you ever tried any of these? I said, what about this one, the 93 point whatever percent one? He's like, oh my God. He said, you will not believe this. He said, give me your hand. I said, okay. He took an ink pen and he took the point of the ink pen and put it on and made a mark on my hand. He said, you see that? He said, when I got home, he said, I took that one, that 93 point whatever percent one, and I put that amount on my e-cigarette. Dude, I was out for 3 days. I said, wait a minute. What do you mean you were out for 3 days? He said, I was unresponsive for 3 days. I didn't go to work. I didn't call my mom. I wet the bed. I messed on myself. Said I was incapacitated for 3 days. The only way I woke up was when my mother was breaking my door down because nobody had heard from me in 3 days. And I said, dude, that was good for you? He's like, oh, well, I wouldn't try that one again, but,
But I'll sell it.
Exactly.
Oh, my gosh.
And my husband, that little fake ID, my husband he just turned 60 this year. So he was in his 50s. So when you get a fake ID, you have to go into the side of the dispensary and see a doctor, right? And this doctor asked him, he had a couple of things that he would ask for you to get an ID. And he says, so what is the object of your pain? Where's your pain coming from? And my husband, being very snide, said menstrual cramps. The guy didn't bat an eye, marked it, and he got a fake ID.
I didn't realize that that's what they did, is at least these places. We have a product, we want to sell it, we want to enable you to buy it.
Right.
So that's part of what you're talking about in schools.
Absolutely. Because our children need to know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We give them the truth so they can make an informed decision about what they put into their body and how it affects them.
And so other than vape, what is the next biggest thing that the kids are getting involved with that we need to know about?
So there are places in this country that sell, and you will see them on every corner around every school, these little shops that are selling edibles to our children.
Yeah.
The edibles, so Skittles and Pop-Tarts. So what these companies are doing, they're taking the actual Skittles wrapper, taking that product out and putting their product in it and selling it as an edible product. Mm-hmm. The only difference that they do is they might put a sticker on the outside of the wrapper for the Skittles, as an example.
Yeah.
Can you tell me if you took one of those, looks like an M&M, right? Mm-hmm. You have it on your kitchen table, that your 5-year-old doesn't come and see that and does not know that is not a regular Skittle or a gummy bear or something else. So they are taking those out and using their same wrappers. I don't know why there's not copyright infringement going all around this country, but that's what they're doing. And so our kids don't read that stuff. They just pick it up. So they take it to school. There's Ruffles potato chips that are infused with THC product. There are they call it Pop-Tarts. Yeah. Now, gummy bears, all kinds of things. And it is also coming in a vape. That's what our kids are being targeted with. So when we go into a community, my husband, if he has time, he'll go around to different stores and just check them out. Like little local gas stations, little bodegas, little stores. Yeah. And he'll actually take pictures of some of the stuff that's being sold without because they're not regulated. They're not federally regulated. I didn't know so that anybody can go in there and buy them, right? Wow. So I'll give you a great example of what happened because of this. We had a superintendent of schools who emailed me last week. And he was so excited because my husband had been there earlier in the school year last year and had gone to some of these places and taken pictures of some of this stuff right around that school, within a mile of the school. Yeah. Kids could walk there to get their stuff and come back to school, right? Yeah. So they took the pictures and gave them to their local sheriff's department that my husband took, and they raided about 10 different shops. They found cocaine distribution, methamphetamine distribution coming out of those little places, along with the stuff that was deemed illegal to sell to people under 18 years old. We're talking with Darla DeLeon, the Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of Steered Straight. If you would like your student assembly to be addressed by somebody from Steered Straight, what do they do, Darla? So they can give us a call. Our number here, we are here in our office is in Murfreesboro, so we are a local entity. So 615-896-5718. And they can also probably just Google Steered Straight. Yes, steeredstraight.org. Okay. Like you steered your car in a straight line. Steeredstraight.org. We would love to talk to you about what you can do in your community as well to help combat this. We also have a thrift store in Murfreesboro. We're looking for volunteers. If you're doing clean out and you want to donate some stuff, please let us know. We'd love to take it. You'll also get a tax donation for that if you choose.
Mm-hmm. And how do we get the stuff there? Do we bring it to the store?
Yeah.
And we can, again, get that info at steeredstraight.org.
Mm-hmm.
But bottom line, anything else that you want people to remember as we wrap up our interview today?
Our kids are our most important asset that we have. We need to give them informed decision-making capabilities by giving them the information that they need to make better decisions about what they do, who they hang with, and how they combat situations in their lives with coping mechanisms and the information that they need to make those decisions.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much for having me, Anna. We so appreciate you.
Darla DeLeon, CEO and co-founder of Steered Straight. We'll put links on our Focus Facebook page so you can get more information and find out more for yourself. Please make sure you join us again next week. I'm Anna Marie. That's Focus.